Last year, you starred in SZA's Drive music video and she called you a total freak. Why do you think she said that?
Because I am.
Welcome to your job interview.
This is a little nerve-wracking.
Ben Stiller, you are an Emmy and BAFTA Award winner. Your films have grossed more than $2.5 billion at the box office, and you have one of the biggest and most mysterious shows on TV right now. What does it feel like to be you at this moment?
Incredible. I just walk around repeating that to myself all day.
Was there a moment when you were filming Severance where you were like, wait, this is actually really good?
For me, there's never a moment where I go, oh, this is going to work, because you never know. When you make something that you feel, oh, this is what I wanted it to be, it really is something that you feel proud of, because then you feel like, okay, no matter what, anybody else says, this is what I wanted it to be.
Do you think every office has a Helly and a Mark?
I've never worked in an office, so I don't know. For me, it's like what I imagine an office would be like, but I love those kinds of relationships. We would talk about it when we were making the first season. The series The Office that Ricky Gervais created and then Greg Daniels did the American version had such specific archetypes that I think is why those shows worked so well. We definitely, I think, borrowed from that and was an inspiration. That was part of what the show's DNA was, in shows like Parks and Rec and the movie Office Space by Mike Judge. For me, it's kind of like not coming from the actual experience of it, but more from like what I've seen in movies and TV too.
Did you give any advice to Adam Scott on straddling the worlds between comedy and drama?
No, I did not give Adam Scott any advice about straddling the world between comedy and drama, because he's such a good actor. I knew he could do it. He was actually the very first person I thought of, and he's the first person I called about it.
What was the biggest creative challenge for you in between seasons 1 and 2 of the show?
Probably writing season 2, really trying to figure out how to deal with the unexpected positive reaction to the show. Now people really seem to like the first season, and how do we live up to that in the second season? And I think that was like the biggest thing, the pressure of that.
From Heavyweights to Dodgeball to Happy Gilmore 2, you've been the villain more than once. How do you get ready to play the heel?
I mean, it's fun when you're playing that kind of character because you don't have to worry about being likable or people identifying with you. There's a real weight off your shoulders that way, so you can just kind of have fun and just kind of try to be as ridiculously mean as possible. All of those characters always feel like they should be the one that everybody loves. They should be the star of the movie.
What is it about a whisper that's so sinister?
I mean, it's just a movie trope, like the whisper, like the intense movie whisper. You want to try to find different colors to these characters, and sometimes the low whisper can be the most intense and maybe stupidest thing too.
Last year, you starred in SZA's Drive music video and she called you a total freak. Why do you think she said that?
Because I am. No, I don't even know what that means. I guess that's nice. That I was a fan, and I was so surprised that she asked me to do the video. And I immediately said yes because I thought it'd be really fun. And I thought, oh, I'll get to be in a video with her. And then it turns out it was only me driving. So it was fun to learn the song and kind of just be part of her world. And you'd have to ask her why she thinks I'm a freak.
Reality Bites was your directorial debut. How did you know you were ready to direct a feature?
I don't think I knew I was ready. You just kind of do it and jump in. And I just come off of working on the Ben Stiller show, where I'd been directing a lot of the sketches in that show. But it was also that time in my life when you're so young that you don't know what you can't do sometimes. And you think you know more than you do, which allows you to go for it and take chances that when you get older, you think, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if I would do that again.
The zipper scene in Something About Mary became instantly iconic. Why do you think it worked?
The Farrelly brothers were so kind of anti-Hollywood. They were guys who were just sort of not in any way respectful intentionally of the filmmaking process. They were like, no, we just want to do what we think is funny. I just kind of like went along for the ride. Not something that I thought, though, I'd be talking about 30 years later.
In Meet the Parents, your nervous energy clashed with Robert De Niro's deadpan intensity. What was it like working with him?
The first time I ever shot a scene with him, I was so nervous that I started laughing, and then he started laughing too. And then I realized, okay, he's a nice guy. And so for me, like my memories of working with him now are all it's just like appreciation. He's so funny. And when he goes into that Jack Burns mentality, for me, it's just fun.
Now you're shooting the next sequel, Fockers In-Law, with Ariana Grande. What do you admire about her as an actress?
I mean, she was so good in Wicked. I just comedically, she just understands the comedy. She has a really great sense of who she is, and a looseness and an ability to improvise, and just such a great spirit and energy.
You just shot your cover. How did Zoolander prepare you for this moment?
I mean, it's always just there if something feels silly or ridiculous. I go, oh, this is kind of like more like a Zoolander thing. It's hard to really take myself seriously ever in any kind of photo shoot like that because of the experience of doing the movie.
Some people argue who you marry is one of your most important career decisions, and you met Christine Taylor on set in 1999. How did you know that she was the one?
It just came to me in one day very early on. I was like, oh, this person, I'm really happy being with this person, and we have fun together, and it just felt like an instinctual sort of thing of like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think this is it.
And you've since acted together in movies like Zoolander and Dodgeball. What makes you click both on screen and off?
Our shared sense of humor is the key to our off-screen relationship. You know, when you're with somebody for many years, that, you know, and you go through the ups and downs of life, a sense of humor is just the most important thing. Being able to laugh together and want to hang out together. I think that also is for when we work on screen together. It's the same thing. She really makes me laugh.
You grew up in a household with two legendary comedians, Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira. What was the biggest comedic lesson your parents taught you?
It's probably just the work ethic, watching them through osmosis and their natural timing and sensibility. We used to watch them rehearse all the time. We'd watch them perform. When we were kids, we'd go with them when they go do a play or be at a nightclub or a television show.
Your short films got the attention of Saturday Night Live, and you joined the show as a writer and performer. Can you tell me about working there?
Yeah, it was a brief tenure, 6 weeks. It was intense. It was scary to go on live television. I'm really glad I was there. I'm glad I got the opportunity. I remember doing a sketch where I played Bono from U2 with Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton was guest hosting, and I remember she was so nice because we did it read through, and it totally bombed and it didn't get on the air. I just remember her being very, very nice about it and giving it her all. And remember thinking, oh, well, I didn't get a chance to do this on the show, but I actually got to do it with Dolly Parton in the read through. So technically I actually did it.
You've been a diehard Knicks fan through every heartbreak. Has rooting for them taught you anything about finding comedy in suffering?
Well, no, because at the end of the season, if they haven't won the championship, there's nothing funny about that to me at all. It's always very upsetting. It's actually more intense pleasure and pain because when it's going great, it's really the most fun ever, especially having all these years now accrued as a fan. Now to see the place that they're at where they're, you know, I think on the verge of, you know, something great. It's both the most enjoyable thing, but then when it doesn't work out, I have to learn how to not be so invested in it.
When you think about your legacy, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh my goodness, how great it was that Ben was a Knicks fan that long, and then they finally won the championship while he was still alive. So that's what I'm hoping.
We talk so much about your early career. Is there any advice you'd give to your younger self?
It's going to happen the way it's going to happen. Enjoy where you're at because it'll all happen as it's supposed to. Of course, you can only know that down the line, but did I get the job? All right.